Capture management is arguably the most valuable phase in any business development lifecycle, from opportunity and strategy development to customer experience and long-term positioning. Capture is the culmination of business intelligence. Today, we're sitting down with Brian Sheets, Director of Business Development and Growth at TIAG, to look at how a captured-centered organization can contribute to significant growth. Hey, Brian.
Hey, Janice, how are you?
Good, thank you. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
So let's dive in right away.
Okay.
Capture, business development, they're often used synonymously, but they're not.
Right, they're different. To me, business development is certainly part of the capture process, right? It sets the table for capture. So in other words, we ideally have our business development professionals out in the marketplace, working with established customers in markets, 12, 24, even 36 months, sometimes 3 years in advance of opportunities that we're out actively, working. The business development team primarily is out there in order to generate and disseminate information back into the larger capture organization as it relates to the deals that you're actively shaping. The capture process begins again, like with the efforts of the BD team, but that also now encompasses support, from your operational leadership, your proposal management team, your technical writers. In some places, your price to win analysts. You can go way down deep in the weeds, and then even the subject matter experts that are part of the deal capture and supporting. When they support the RFP responses. So that's the much larger kind of capture organization as a whole.
Kind of like the ecosystem of it. But so BD is really a feeder for capture.
Absolutely. It's a key component of the overall capture team. For our organization and our, capture team to be successful in acquiring new work, it's critically important that we have highly skilled business development professionals, focused on, identifying, qualifying, emerging opportunities that are of strategic value for us and that align with our organizational capabilities. But
the BD is not, quote unquote, the hero. It's really every person in the organization is focused on maximizing that probability of winning.
Right. And that's where a lot of times you hear the terms used interchangeably because you're working that hero scenario where, you have a company, a team brings in a business development professional, and they're expected to be the do-it-all capture person, right? They're identifying deals, they're shaping deals, and then they're having to work proposal management when the RFP drops, and they're tech writing it and trying to coordinate all of the SMEs, right, that you need. And that almost never works, right, when you're trying to put forth a successful proposal. I understand that we all work with budget constraints, certainly, but I think a key is, really taking the time to see if you can invest strategically in building a capture supportive team that includes your business development leadership, but also includes the other ancillary support that's required to be really successful in trying to acquire new business.
So really like flattening that entire model in a way. So it shouldn't sound difficult, but it sounds difficult in our industry, given how things are structured. So very few people, as you're saying, have every capability, but you really want everyone focused on the win, and you can only do that in a structure like this.
Right. Very few people straight off the bat have the experience, right, across the entire life cycle of deal capture. That's just intrinsic. Right. So, the great thing is when you have that team concept, you don't need that. You can bring together, a group just like you would build an integrated product team, right, of people that have complementary and interchanging skills, right, that kind of give you the full life cycle coverage, from the early business development, identification of the deal all the way through the delivery of the response, right, and hopefully you win it and go into operations. But, you have that full team working together no person is an island.
No.
One person capture teams are almost never successful.
And the burnout
You burn out, you go crazy, you do everything halfway decent because you're just so pulled apart, right? Mm-hmm. So it's really, really, again, important to have that team approach when it comes to capture.
Literally the worst war room situations when you don't have this approach. Just because it seems just so much healthier.
Right.
So individuals focusing just on their own role exclusively doesn't net you the power of this kind of global understanding of the ecosystem.
Right, exactly. As we talked about, like capture teams are made up of individuals, right, with highly advanced and complementary, skills in specific areas, but it's imperative each individual member understands the overall goals and objectives of the team, right? In doing so, that creates, overlap and support for one another. As we've talked about, it's a long process.
So stressful.
It's intense at times. So without that team approach, you often encounter disjointed teams. You have a lot of duplicated efforts that are going on, which creates frustration amongst the team. And ultimately that can lead to conflict, which is the absolute worst, scenario you can get to, and is never a good way to go out and capture new business.
When you can't innovate either, when you have a tough or difficult client problem or mission, if no one's getting along or there's like martyrs, which is in here, it doesn't work. So you've done this a long time with clear success. What are some tried and true tactics and strategies?
So it begins and ends with building a great team. If you have a weak link, a rogue element, if you have somebody with the hero syndrome that we kind of talked about before, it will certainly expose itself and disjoint and oftentimes ruin, capture efforts, which are big investments. What we try to do is invest that time up front into building a team of highly skilled people, but most importantly, again, people that fit, within our capture world, our corporate cultures, our team commitment levels, right? Those are important for us. And we really feel the need to invest in it. It creates that cohesive unit. It's also very, very important as a capture team not to be afraid of constant self-evaluation, as a team, a willingness to identify gaps, weaknesses,
because
nobody likes to talk about that, but we all have them, and they evolve over time. It's important to identify those. So we do a lot. We do a lot of post-mortem following, short and long run capture efforts, all with the purpose of, getting better, not to point people out or to say you didn't do your job or this and that. That doesn't work. No. You have to approach it with the concept of getting better, looking for opportunities to improve, your strategies, the tactics used throughout the capture process, and look for opportunities to develop and strengthen the team, right? Be that through training or adding additional resources.
Just really taking into account the person and the people.
You do. You want stronger individuals to build a stronger unit. So
becoming a capture-centric organization at any point in time is going to require the right culture first and foremost.
Absolutely. Again, as we talked about, everybody can kind of pull in the pieces, right, that make up the team. The key for us is to pull the right pieces together, again, to really focus on identifying team members throughout the organization that we can include in capture that all have the same passions and the same level of commitment to serving our customers and to winning new work.
This has been great, Brian. These are incredible insights, I think, specifically for our industry. I'd love to see more organizations and their capture teams become the centric part of their organization than kind of just when they have the RFP.
Right, exactly.
So thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
And thank you for spending a few minutes with us. For more trends and insights, subscribe now and join us next time for another episode of Tech Connect, Talks that Transform.